Hey everyone, it's Caitlin and welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make green curry, Thai green curry with crispy tofu. And I am very excited to share this recipe with you because I love Thai food so much, and green curry is definitely one of my all-time favorite Thai dishes. If you know me in real life, you'll know I'm a creature of habit, and every time I go to a Thai restaurant, I'd say like 95% of the time I order their green curry. And I've had a lot of green curry in my life, and I never thought I'd be able to recreate it at home, but I have done my research, I've experimented, and I feel like I finally found a recipe that is up to my standards. Because even at restaurants, I feel like I have pretty high green curry standards. I want my curry to be spicy, I want it to have flavor, I want it to have a really, really yummy curry sauce. And another thing that I don't really like is when the vegetables are like overly cooked, or they're like greasy, or they just feel like they're like stale, almost bad produce. If you know, you know. And also, you gotta have a good protein source with your curry, and I love tofu so much. So I'm going to be making my crispy tofu recipe for this video, and I'm also very proud to say that I will be using Nasoya tofu in this video because, whoops, this video is proudly sponsored by Nasoya. You've probably seen their tofu in a grocery store near you, and I really like it. They have a ton of different varieties, and I have never had problems with this brand falling apart or crumbling when I try to press it. And if you don't know what pressing tofu is, stay tuned because we're gonna go over that in a few short minutes. So we're going to be using their extra firm organic tofu today in our green curry, and I think that's pretty much all I have to say for now. If you don't like tofu, this recipe will change your mind. And tofu, whether you are vegan or not, is a great addition into any diet because it's a great source of plant-based protein, but it's also naturally gluten-free and cholesterol-free. So now I really have nothing else to say except for the recipe, so let's get into that. So before we reach this final product of delicious green curry tofu, we're going to need to make our tofu. So we're going to be making my crispy tofu recipe using Nasoya's extra firm organic tofu. I posted this recipe a few times. It is a staple in my diet, and I love it in curries. I mean, practically with anything, but it's really good with curry. So to start out, we are going to remove our tofu from the packaging. As you can see, it's in a little bit of a liquid, so we're going to need to press it. I got this tofu press on Amazon, and it was 1000% worth all of my dollars because it is very easy. It saves a lot of time and effort on my end. You basically just slide the tofu in after you take it out of the package and then screw it down, and the pressure from this tofu press gets the extra liquid out of the tofu, which is great because we're going to be seasoning our tofu later. There are other ways to do this if you don't have a tofu press. I will link mine down below, or also stay tuned to the end of the video where I give you an extra hack. But now we are going to cut our pressed tofu. I cut it in half lengthwise, and then I cut each of these pieces into 16 even pieces. And the best way to do this is to keep cutting each piece in half. It gives you the best even cubes. And then this is also better because they cook evenly in the oven, and you won't have any cubes get crispy before the other ones. So now we're going to marinate our tofu. We're going to toss it into a decently large bowl because we are going to need to mix things up. And then we are going to drizzle some low sodium tamari over the tofu first. Because we press some liquid out, it is going to absorb this tamari. You're just going to take a spatula and gently mix this together. I found that using a spatula is the best because sometimes spoons or other harder things tend to break the tofu up, and we want to keep it as uniform and solid as possible. So after the tofu has absorbed all of the tamari, we are going to sprinkle on our nutritional yeast. I do use this a lot in my recipes, but if you've never heard of it before, it's not like bread yeast. It's just a fortified yeast and has a subtle cheesy flavor. It also has a great umami flavor. So we're going to coat our tofu in this, and this is going to help it become nice and golden and crispy. And then now we're going to bake our tofu. So you're going to need a standard size baking tray, and I personally like to line mine with a silicone mat. I find that it crisps the tofu better than regular parchment paper, and also it's reusable, so you're minimizing your waste. And I make this recipe all the time, so that'll be a lot of parchment paper in the garbage can. So now you're just going to evenly line your tofu across the baking tray. You want a little space between each cube to get it nice and crispy. And now we're going to pop our tofu onto the top rack of our oven and bake it for about 20 minutes. Then we're going to take it out. As you can see, the cubes are already getting nice and brown and crispy, but we are going to flip them, and this helps them get even more golden brown and crispier and more delicious. And it really crisps up two sides of the tofu. The other sides get crispy too, but the ones that are in contact with the silicone mat definitely get a little bit more crispy. So now we're going to pop this into the oven for another 20 to 30 minutes, but in the meantime, we are going to get started on our green curry. Now the veggies itself in green curry can be pretty versatile, but the curry itself does have a few key ingredients, including green curry paste, full fat coconut milk. I would definitely recommend using full fat here. You can get it from a can in most grocery stores. And we're also going to need some sort of sweetener. I am using coconut sugar here, but you could also use regular sugar or brown sugar. Then the rest is pretty much up to you. You can use whatever vegetables you'd like. Some classic vegetables include bell peppers, both green bell peppers and red bell peppers, as well as bamboo shoots. You can usually get these in a can at a grocery store near you, and some kabocha squash. If you can't find this near you, you can skip it or use sweet potato. I got it at a local Asian market. And then these right here are Thai eggplants. They are traditional, but not common in a lot of curries, I'd say, in the United States. It's a harder ingredient to find. I got it at a local Asian store, but you could use another eggplant instead. Eggplant is great in curry though, so I would really recommend it. So now to actually make our curry, like I said, we're gonna need some curry paste. I made my own curry paste. I have the recipe on my blog. I will link it in the description of this YouTube video, but you can also easily buy it at a grocery store, online, or at an Asian market near you. And I think all the curry jars are lying when they're like, use 1 tablespoon of curry paste. I like my curry to taste like curry, so I would actually recommend using closer to like 1/4 cup of curry paste. And then a secret to getting more flavor out of your curry paste is to fry it in oil. It brings out the flavors of the aromatics and the garlic and lemongrass and everything that's in your green curry paste. But an oil-free alternative is to actually use a little bit of the full-fat coconut milk and stir it in with the curry paste, and then just cook this on a high heat on your nonstick pan for a few minutes. I have made it both with oil and with this coconut milk, and personally I don't really notice a difference, but I do notice a difference if I do this first versus not do it at all. The fat from the coconut milk, I think, works well enough to sort of substitute the fat that an oil would have, and it just brings out more flavor in the curry paste, like I was saying. And a lot of Thai restaurants, I have heard, do this. So if you want good curry, you should definitely fry or pan fry with coconut oil your curry paste. So after you do that for about 60 to 90 seconds, or maybe a little bit more, you're going to add in your can of full fat coconut milk, as well as your coconut sugar. And then you're just going to mix all of this together to dissolve or evenly incorporate the coconut sugar and the curry paste into the mixture. Then once you have a nice even liquid, you're going to raise the heat to high and add in all of your veggies. And depending on what vegetables you add, some might cook a little bit faster than others, so you might want to wait until the end to add in certain vegetables if you prefer to have them crunchy. I added all of mine in at the same time because they cook in relatively the same amount of time. I don't mind making my peppers nice and soft. So you're just going to add all those in, stir it up, and then raise this to high heat. And once the mixture starts to bubble, you are going to cover it and then let it simmer for about 15 to 17 minutes over a low heat. And you are going to remove the lid every few minutes just to give everything a good stir and making sure it's cooking well. I like to keep the lid on because otherwise the coconut milk tends to evaporate a little bit too much, and I like my green curry to be saucy. You could also just add more coconut milk if you want, but I think this is a good amount. And honestly, your curry might be ready a little bit sooner depending on what vegetables you add. If you're just using peppers and bamboo shoots, for example, those don't take very long to cook, but the kabocha squash and the eggplant take a little bit longer, which is my curry took a bit longer. And as you can see, I also did add some Thai green chilies into here, which is totally optional. I just wanted my curry to be extra spicy. That will depend on your curry paste. And if you don't have Thai green chilies, you could use like crushed red pepper flakes or sriracha or something, whatever you have on hand that is Asian inspired, to make your curry a little bit spicier. But after your curry is done, now our tofu is probably just about done too. As you can see, it looks nice and golden brown and very yummy. A lot of curry is typically served with fried tofu, at least in restaurants that I go to here. And if you like that, I think this is a great substitute for it because it's nice and crispy on the outside. You could even simmer this in your curry sauce for a few minutes if you wanted to really absorb that curry flavor. But I like it as a crispy sort of topping to my curry. So now we are going to plate our bowls, or bowls. I don't know, is that a thing? I cooked up some white rice. I like to have my curry with white rice. I find that it's most aromatic and like fluffy. And actually, personally, I like a large amount of curry to a small amount of rice. But I put a little bit more rice in here for video purposes than I personally enjoy. I like my curry to be more like a soup because I just think that sauce is so really freaking good. But okay, after your rice, let's get back on track. We're going to add in our green curry, and then last but not least, we're going to top it off with our crispy tofu. And then I like to add an extra drizzle of that curry sauce on top of the tofu and the bowl itself, just to really get all that yummy flavor in there. And that is it. This recipe is great for meal prep. Honestly, the curry flavors are only going to increase and get even better with time if you let it sit in your fridge overnight. And I like to use my crispy tofu as leftovers too. I find that it reheats really well in the oven or the air fryer. All right, guys, and there you have it. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite type of curry is. Green curry is my favorite. I've tried red curry, tried yellow curry, tried massaman curry. I've tried a bunch of different curries. Those are all Thai curries. I like Thai curry more than Indian curry. I know there's Japanese curry. I don't think I've tried that yet. But green curry is still at the top for me. But I'd be curious to know what yours is. And if you were paying attention in the recipe video and didn't just skip through to the parts that you thought were interesting, which I know some of you do because I have YouTube analytics. But I mentioned that I had a recipe hack for you if you didn't feel like pressing your tofu. So as you can see, this no soya tofu comes in a little plastic container, which you saw in the video as well. And there's water inside here, and that's what the tofu sits in and how it stays fresh and keeps. This is why we have to press our tofu, because you want to get some of this extra liquid out and you want your tofu to be able to absorb your marinade better. You can press your tofu like I showed you in the video, but if you're short on time, I like to use Nusoya's super firm tofu. So this tofu is pre-pressed and you can use it in any recipe straight out of the package. And this, like you can see here, it's just the tofu and the package. There's like a minuscule amount of water, but this tofu is super firm and pre-pressed, which is great. It's actually, in my opinion, a lot denser than any other tofu. Even if I pre-press my tofu at home, it never gets to be this firm. So it's really nice. It has a great texture and it won't fall apart when you use it in stir fries or curry dishes. And it gets extra crispy when you use it with my crispy tofu. So if you don't feel like pressing your tofu or you don't have a tofu press, get this instead. This is still a great option. And honestly, most of the time I do use this, but I like to use this as well when I want to switch things up. So thanks again to Nusoya for sponsoring this video and for making great tofu for all of us to eat and enjoy. And if you missed it, the full recipe is linked below, and I would highly encourage you to check it out because green curry is just so good. It makes me so happy that I can finally make it at home. I don't have to drive 30 minutes to go to my favorite restaurant to get it. But I'm still gonna go there because, you know, sometimes you're lazy and you don't wanna cook for yourself. But this is a very easy recipe. And like I said, it's great for meal prep. It's great to have with family and friends. And I feel like Thai food in general, as long as you take out the fish sauce, which obviously is not in this curry recipe, it's very vegan friendly in general. So even if you have people who aren't necessarily interested in a plant-based diet, you can make them green curry and it'll be just like they're at a restaurant and they won't notice the difference, I promise. So thanks for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you like it and leave a comment below telling me what other tofu recipes you want to see from me on this channel, because I'd be very interested to know, because I love tofu. And I hope you guys have an awesome day, whatever time of day it is for you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.